dann darf ich jetzt die
So I
Sonja
would like
Schütz,
to also welcome Sonja
auch wieder
Schütz
von der Vereinigung der Freizeitreiter
from
Fahren
the
Deutschland,
Association of Leisure
noch
Time
dazu als
Riders
unter anderem
and Drivers.
Umweltreferentin und anderen
And
Themen wird sie gleich genauer erklären,
she
was
will
sie
soon
genau macht.
explain what exactly she
Bei uns
does, but
herzlich
in any case,
begrüßen
I will welcome her most
gemeinsam mit anderen
cordially.
Organisationen
Together with other
dieses
organizations,
VFD
VFD is doing a
das heißt
project
Pferd
which is
und Wolf.
called
Wie
Horse
geht das?
and
Da sind wir jetzt schon sehr
which is
gespannt,
called Horse and Wolf. How
was
does
Sie
that
mit dem Projekt
work?
machen
And we're
und mit
looking
welchem
forward to
Erfolg was
hearing
dabei rausgekommen ist. Ich
about
freue mich auf Ihre
her
Projektvorstellung.
report.
Ja, ich
I'm
freue
looking
mich auf Ihren
forward to her
Vortrag.
presentation.
Bitte schön.
Here you go.
Ja, vielen Dank,
Yes, thank you very much
dass ich hier das
for
Projekt
being able
vorstellen
to
darf.
present this project here.
Ja, mein Name ist Sonja
My
Schütz.
name
Ich
is
komme aus dem
Sonja
Westerwald.
Schütz.
Das liegt in
I come from
Rheinland-Pfalz.
Westerwald,
Ich bin
which is in
Hauptamtssekretärin
North
der
Rhine-Westphalia.
VfD
I'm speaker
und
of VFD.
Pferdewirtschaftsmeisterin Zucht und
I
Haltung
am
und habe
also
nebenher auch
the
noch einen landwirtschaftlichen Betrieb im Wolfsgebiet.
chairwoman
Ich
of
bin auch
breeding
Mitglied der
and
Fachgruppe
keeping. I'm
Weidetiere
also
und Wolf.
member
Das ist am
of
Bundeszentrum
the
Weidetiere und Wolf.
section, both animals, horse
Die
and
Inhalte, halt eben
wolf.
Ausgangssituation möchte ich Ihnen vorstellen.
So I would like to explain to you the original situation. I would like to also give you a project description, also to tell you the findings and the results. We have heard it today several times. There are attacks by wolves, attacks on horses and foals.
Und die Darstellung ist gar
They
nicht
do
so
exist.
einfach gewesen. Das war dann auch im Rahmen des
It
Projektes,
wasn't that
dass wir
easy
da
to
mal
explain that.
geschaut haben,
As
wie
part of the
viele
project,
Übergriffe gab es
we
überhaupt in
looked at the
Deutschland
number
im
of
letzten Jahr.
attacks that
Also
happened
wie
in
gesagt, das ist sehr
Germany and
schwierig,
in
das
which year.
herauszufinden.
But it is
Es
very
gibt
difficult to find out
gesicherte
these statistics.
Übergriffe, die
There are
auch
certain
Das sind alles
attacks that
Daten
have been
von den
confirmed.
Ämtern, also nicht,
These are
dass wir
official
die jetzt
data.
aus der Zeitung rausgesucht haben.
It's not data that we took from the
Die Zahlen sind
newspapers.
jetzt bis zum 31.12.
So these figures go to
Die
31
Partner, das sind halt eben die VfD als
December.
Projektleitung
The
und
partners are
Niedersachsen,
VFD
halt eben auch das Projekt Herdenschutz Niedersachsen.
Project Management, then Lower Saxony, Livestock Protection Lower Saxony, then also the University for Environment and Economy and the Association to Promote Science about horse and wolf. These were the partners.
Die VfD.
So VFD has been presented beforehand. We are a federal association with sub-associations.
Wir haben da sehr viele Erfahrungen auch mit
We have a lot of experience also with fair stalls as exhibitions on the subject of leisure horse riding, and there's also training courses at VFD. We also cooperate with nature conservation. Since 2016, we concentrated also on the subject of livestock protection. We also promoted research. AG Herdenschutz is the livestock protection unit, and we're trying to provide useful information. We also have the ethics and animal protection section.
Fachleute, Experten, die uns
well, these are actually external bodies. They provide advice to us, they support us. And we also contribute to scientific studies on horse keeping and horse utilization, not only about the subject of wolf and horse. As far as PR work is concerned,
war im Zeitraum von Mai bis Dezember 2021.
Since May or between May and December 21, we had PR work on horse and wolf. It was called Euro Large Carnivores. The goal was to increase awareness but also to take fears seriously at the same time as to reduce them. For that, we had several project activities. We had an information stall. We presented all of that at horse fairs, but a lot of them were cancelled last year. It was difficult because of Corona.
Wir haben halt auf allen Messen, die stattgefunden haben,
At all the fairs that did take place in 2020-21, we did participate. There were 3 explanatory videos that were already shown during the break.
Kompaktes Infoblatt erstellt.
There's a compact information sheet.
Es sind auch Schulungsmaterialien, also
and
entwickelt worden.
we also developed training
Veranstaltungen
materials for schools, for example. We also organized information events.
angeboten.
We offered all of that.
In der Zeit halt eben, wie gesagt, aufgrund von Corona und anderen
Unfortunately, because of Corona and other problems, not all too many of them did take place, but
eine Infoveranstaltung abzuhalten.
we're very happy to do an information event. At the same time,
ja, gab Fragebögen, Umfragen.
there were also questionnaires about the project. All of this was analyzed and the results were compiled accordingly.
Ist entstanden,
we made a website and Facebook site which is called Horse and Wolf. We keep providing information about these webs or through these websites. And then we also spread news and we made proposals for improvements. Well, then there was the
Instituten
Pferde und Wolf website, and we present a lot of information on that as well. This is a video that you can also find on this video. Let me just play it back. Well, actually, I won't.
Ja, wie gesagt, es gab
Übergriffe, die ersten haben there were attacks.
15 stattgefunden.
First of these attacks took place in 2015 in Germany. For 15 years, there hadn't been any attacks at all. No attacks against horses or horse-like creatures.
Gemacht, wie viel Prozent,
and then there was the analysis
ja, bei den Nutztieren ausmacht.
About the share of horse victims out of all livestock victims. It was very small. This share was very small, even though it also actually includes just injured and not killed animals.
Jetzt 2021 gab es 16 Fälle.
In 2021, there were 16 cases with 18 injured horses. In 11 cases, the wolf has been genetically confirmed to have been the culprits. 7 cases happened in North Rhine-Westphalia, 6 happened in Lower Saxony. Many lands only provide funding for prevention measures for cattle and for horses if there have been proven attacks by wolves. There's no flat rate support, no flat rate funding for horses and similar creatures.
Die Faktoren, die halt
what then are the factors that favor attack by wolves? Well, it's the size of the horses, it's also the age of the horses. Then protection measures are, for example, to keep the horses in larger groups and also to have mixed age groups.
Ohne Schutzmaßnahmen sollte man auf jeden Fall vermeiden.
What should be avoided is to keep foals without protection measures. Well-working, wolf-repelling electric fences is the optimum in order to protect at-risk foals and ill animals, etc. If in a certain territory there are wolves and they do attack animals, protection measures are required. The behavior of horses when they notice that there's a wolf around has been talked about before.
Empfehlungen dann auch erarbeitet und können
There
aber
are
sagen, dass diese
recommendations that we
Begegnungen sich
issued,
nicht, unterscheiden
but
großartig
we
zu
can basically say
Begegnungen
that
mit Hunden.
encounters with wolves are no
Da
different
kommt es
to
auch des
encounters
Öfteren
of
halt
horses with
eben,
stray dogs.
ja, dass die Hunde halt
Because
wirklich
if there's an
angreifen
encounter
und,
with a stray
die
dog,
Pferde dann
the
auch
dogs
dementsprechend,
sometimes also attack
sich verhalten,
the
um
horses.
Flucht,
The dogs
ergreifen oder es halt
behave
auch zu Unfällen dann kommt.
aggressively and the horses kind of run away.
Was wir bei Wölfen halt eben noch nicht, also keine Kenntnis über solche Vorfälle haben.
We don't have any wolf cases for that. So as far as insurance protection is concerned, is that, well, horses might break out. There's a great fear.
Aber nicht relevant, warum die Pferde ausbrechen.
For the insurance, it is not relevant why the horses break out. What is relevant for the insurance is whether the animal keeper has to be liable, has to pay for the loss.
Dann zum Einsatz.
And in this case, the insurance kicks in. So far, there is no mandatory fencing in of horses in wolf territories. So if something like that happens,
greift auch die Versicherung.
the insurance will pay.
Egal, ob es dann Wildschwein ist, Hund, Mensch.
Doesn't matter whether it is boar, dog, or wolf that caused the panic, for example.
Belegt worden.
In any case, the reliability of fences hasn't been proven sufficiently.
Von einem Übergriff auf ein Pferd bekannt.
There's no news of an attack against a horse that's been
keine Alternative
fenced in an electric fence.
Ausgeführten Zäune sind
the execution of fences must be professional, and they are also not a risk for amphibians and reptiles. So what do we want? Based on the knowledge that we have gained in surveys, for example,
also sehr positiv aufgenommen worden, auch die
well, we can say that this information has been received very positively.
Überhaupt nicht informiert oder halt falsch informiert.
In many cases, the people hadn't been informed at all or misinformed, and it is very important to tell them the facts. It is important to have reliable statistics on kills,
ja, ob es wirklich
information on whether there was livestock protection. It is important to know why this attack happened. Livestock protection advice is very important. As far as horses is concerned, there is a lack of advice. For sheep keepers, for sheep farmers, there is advice, but not that much for horse keepers. So the instructions for fence building are very important. There are,
sehr schwierig, das umzusetzen.
it must be said that sometimes the information is contradictory. It's very difficult to implement that then. Then subsidization of prevention measures for horses up to 1 year and for ponies is something that we also demand, because the costs are quite high.
Auch eine Förderung, bevor etwas passiert.
And in actual fact, money should be given out before something happens. It should be possible to fund this. Appropriate compensation, of course, in case of an attack is one other of our demands, and we also demand that extensive horse keeping be subsidized, so that they don't have to be put away into stables all the time. There's a platform, Raising Animal Keeping and Wolf,
aus
It is
Landnutzung,
an
Natur-
alliance
und
of various
Tierschutz,
associations
arbeitet
from
seit
the fields of
2017
nature conservation and animal
an
protection and
rechtlichen,
land
konstruktiven,
use.
praxisnahen
It has been
Dialogen.
working since
Da
2017
da werden
throughout
auch
Germany.
Empfehlungen für
It
bundeseinheitliche Standards,
organizes
Positionspapiere und
constructive dialogues
Eckpunktepapiere
and works out
erarbeitet.
recommendations for
Diese Informationen
federal
findet man dann
standards,
halt auch
position
auf der
papers,
Internetseite. Vielfalt
and
bewahren.
such like.
Ja, nochmal die einheitliche Rissstatistik.
I would like to say again that we want a standard
damit man
kills,
einfach,
a standard
dann
statistic
auch
of kills.
dementsprechend bewerten
That's what
kann
we
und auch
want.
seine Tiere dann schützen
So that you
kann.
can analyze and that you can ultimately protect the
Und
animals.
Beratung, wie
And
gesagt, sehr wichtig. Das haben wir heute ja auch
advice is
mehrfach
very
gehört.
important. We have
Es
heard that
kann
on
nicht
several
sein,
occasions
dass
today.
die
It cannot be
Tiere, also dass es erst zu
that
Übergriffen kommt
there must
und
be an
dann
attack
irgendwie angefangen
first
wird, sich damit zu auseinanderzusetzen.
before
In der Zeit, bis
people
dann halt eben
try to
Bauern mit
think
Bauen
about
sind,
it.
kommt es ja immer wieder zu neuen Übergriffen.
There are more attacks and will be more attacks until the time when the fence is built. So funding possibilities
ausgeschöpft werden, also das, was schon möglich ist,
must be taken advantage of. What is possible so far must be taken advantage of. It is also possible that work and labor is funded in addition to material costs and also ongoing costs. These are quite considerable.
De minimis Pauschalen angerechnet werden.
And it shouldn't be a de minimis flat rate, because we are really not talking at all about a competitive advantage. Extensive horse keeping needs to be recognized. We have problems. Sometimes it is not recognized as agriculture, only as tending the rural landscape. That puts it at a disadvantage as far as financing is concerned.
Und von daher, das muss unterstützt werden, nicht nur die Wirtschaftlichkeit, sondern halt eben auch
what
die
needs to be supported is the keeping of horses for leisure purposes and also for secondary income sources. So thank you for your attention, and I would like to answer your questions now. Thank you, Ms. Schütz, for this overview about the subject of wolf and horse, and also about your demands, which I can go along with completely. Now, we have one comment from Mr. Müller. Kathi, would you please kind of release that?
Ja, außerdem der Herr Josef Schrallhammer hat sich gemeldet.
Josef Schrallhammer also wanted to say something. I gave him speaking permission also.
Also, wenn der Herr
Well, if Mr. Müller doesn't ask, then let's pass the floor to Mr. Schrellhammer.
Der Herr Schrallhammer möchte auch nicht.
Mr. Schrallhammer does not want to say anything either. Well, then I'd actually ask Miss Elschner, because she had also raised her hand.
Okay.
No, I was only practicing.
Total wichtig.
Oh, well, practicing is also very, very, very important.
Man weiß ja nie.
You never know.
Ja, gibt's noch Fragen?
So, are there any other questions about the presentation?
Genau, hier ist eine Frage. Und
yes, there is one,
Ihr Verband
which is whether your association works with the Westphalian horse
zusammen.
With the horse pedigree book.
Also nicht, weil wir es nicht wollen, es gibt keine.
Well, no, we don't. Not that we don't want to, but there's no cooperation here with the pedigree book.
Aber wie gesagt, da bin ich jetzt.
I don't know.
Ob da wirklich alle,
Really, it's too much of a question.
Drin organisiert sind.
I don't know whether the breeder organizations, whether they're all in there, but I don't really know. Max, you have a question, Max Rosberg. Yes, thank you for this excellent presentation. My question to you, it seems to be as if you look at the problem based on files, but a personal questions. Why do you think that this subject is emotionalized to such an extent outside kind of your realm? Well, this is a political question. We see it at first that people
auf den Stand gekommen sind, freuen sich,
came to our stand in a very positive mood. They are happy to be receiving information.
Wir haben aber auch
that was 95%. They were happy. But we also have 5% of visitors who are very critical about us speaking out about it. What do they say? They accuse us
zum Herdenschutz,
that our positioning to livestock protection makes it difficult for the wolves to be able to be killed. So it is a political thing. They accuse us basically that with our livestock protection and all these things, we make it more difficult for wolves to be killed. And what do? Well, we continue fighting for livestock protection, for the protection of our horses.
Wie gesagt, im Vordergrund.
This is our number one concern.
Wir sind jetzt kein Wolfskuschlerverband.
We are not wolf lovers and cuddlers.
Arbeit halt eben.
But, you know,
auf dem Wolf, aber
we focus on the subject of wolf, but we aren't wolf cuddlers. But our number one priority is still livestock protection. It's not wolf protection. We want to make it possible that grazing can continue by grazing livestock.
Dann hat der Herr Müller jetzt in Chat geschrieben, beziehungsweise bei den
Mr. Müller
warum hört man nichts von den langjährigen
asked,
Erfahrungen
why
der
do we not hear
Weidetierhaltung
anything
und
about
Wolf
the
aus
long
osteuropäischen
years
Ländern,
of
die ja
experience
länger mit dieser
of
Situation
keeping
vertraut sind?
grazing animals
Bin ich mir nicht sicher, ob das
and the
direkt an
interaction
Sie
with the
gerichtet
wolf
ist,
from
Frau
Eastern
Schütz,
European countries?
aber
I'm not
vielleicht
sure
können
that
Sie
this is a
ja
question directly to you, Ms. Schütz, but maybe
eine
you can
Einschätzung
say something
dazu
about
geben.
the basic idea of asking people from Eastern Europe, because they have had wolves, they've had the wolf and livestock for a longer time. Well, we talked about it, about the wolf in Germany, but in the large carnivores project, there were many sub-projects that also took place in Eastern European countries. It's all from the internet site. There are videos.
Die gibt es schon. Das Problem ist
They do
einfach
exist.
Die Kommunikation.
The problem is simply communication.
Das Problem gewesen.
This was also the problem for us.
Wir haben sehr viele Informationen. Aber der
We have a lot of information, but the problem is the transfer.
Dieses Wissen zu
There is
in die
knowledge.
Gesellschaft oder an die Weidetierhalter zu bekommen.
And it is important to get that through to livestock keepers and breeders. We've also had kind of requests, but people they don't have the guts to make an event, a conference. Okay, thank you.
Frau Schütz, in Ihrem Vortrag
Ms. Schütz,
Sie noch einmal
in your
die
presentation,
objektive Bewertung von Rissereignissen, wenn ich es richtig gesehen habe.
you had the objective assessment
was
of
verstehen Sie dort
kill
drunter? Wieso ist das
events.
eine Forderung?
What
Ja, weil
Why
wir nicht
is this
sehen
a demand?
können, wenn jetzt Risse an
Well, if there is a
Pferden,
kill,
stattgefunden haben,
if a horse is killed,
ist es halt für uns schwierig, diese zu bewerten.
then it is difficult for us to
wenn wir
assess
nicht
this,
wissen,
to
ob die
evaluate
Pferde,
it, if we don't know
geschützt waren. Was war
whether
das für ein
this
Herdenschutz?
horse was protected. If you
Das
don't know
ist
what
dann
kind
sehr
of
schwierig zu
livestock
bewerten. Und
protection
um
there has
sagen zu
been, then it is
können,
difficult
wie
to
müssen
assess.
was müssen wir tun, um unsere Tiere zu schützen, wenn wir nicht
I
gar nicht
mean,
wissen,
what do we have to do
ja,
to protect
was in welchem Moment
our
passiert ist. Warum ist
animals?
da jetzt ein Tier gerissen
I mean, we
worden?
don't know what to do. We
was ist
can't
da
give an advice
für ein
if
Herdenschutz?
we don't know why
Wie
this
alt war
animal
das
was killed.
Tier?
If we don't know
Wir
how old
wissen
this
ja da
animal
gar
was,
nichts.
if
Also
we're in
können wir
the
es gar nicht
dark,
bewerten.
then we cannot, you know, like we can't assess, we
Und,
can't evaluate, and
die
we need
zweite
more
Frage
information, in
von
other
Chat,
words.
Sie hatten
Yes, and the
die,
second
diese De
question that I do
Minimis-Regel
have is
angesprochen,
that
dass
you
die
mentioned that the
Förderung
minimis
sozusagen
rule,
für den Herdenschutz da nicht aufgerechnet wird. Können Sie das doch mal
that the,
etwas genauer erklären, was es mit dieser
you know,
Regelung auf sich hat?
livestock protection
Ja, dass
isn't
da halt eben
offset?
keine
What exactly does it mean?
durch Herdenschutz, dass es nicht nachher
Well,
heißt, dass der Landwirt sozusagen doppelt gefördert ist oder einem
what we want to avoid
steht, wenn er zu
basically is
viel
that that
Förderung für den
we want to
Herdenschutz
avoid
bekommt,
creating the
Und
impression
das,
that
wie gesagt, darf ja einfach nicht
farmers
sein,
get double
dass da
subsidies
einem Landwirt,
for
das
example,
dann
livestock
vorgerechnet
protection
wird,
and other measures.
wie viel
We
Geld er
don't
für den
want
Herdenschutz ausgibt und ihm das vielleicht woanders wieder dann
people
abgezogen wird.
also to have to declare their livestock protection, so this funding can be deducted elsewhere. That's what we don't want.